Hello, Conceal Coalition. Austin Davis, your National Director of Training, and thank you for stopping by for this month's webinar. This is a great topic for this month's webinar. I have my brother and sister-in-law, and we're here to talk about just a crime. The reason I say just a crime is when I heard about what happened to them and their situation, and I didn't hear the full story yet, I'm going to hear it with you. It's always just they were just going to the gas station and they had this incident. People always seem to think that there's the just part of there. I was just coming from work. I was just going to my car. I was just picking up my kids. That's magical time that crime and bad things can happen. So I am very pleased to introduce my brother and sister-in-law. This is my wife's brother, Tim, and his lovely wife, Robin. And Robin, in case I've never mentioned it publicly, you're at least my first or second favorite sister-in-law, because I only got two. So you're just different ways. But of course, my other one, though, she always cooks me low carb. So in that mind, guys, would you do me a quick favor and just tell me a little bit about the situation that happened to you? But first, paint me a picture. Where was this at? Was it someplace you were traveling, hometown? Paint me a picture. So before we tell them what happened, they kind of get a full view of the setting of the scene.
Okay. That's the hometown. We were stopping to get a few things at the local corner store, and normal stops where we frequent often, and things escalated very quickly.
So you guys were stopping off to get fuel or just munchies or?
Just stuff inside the convenience store. No gas that day. Just we had just gotten done eating dinner, making a quick stop to get a few things before we went home, and encountered two gentlemen that did not.
We'll get that in a second. We got to paint a picture for them. So, what time of day is this, and what are the light conditions?
It's evening time. It's already dark outside, so it's better time. It's after 8, so it's already dark.
Okay. Was the place well lit, fairly well lit? Did you have enough to identify what's going on, or was it kind of splotchy light?
No, it's well lit because it's a gas station, so all the pumps have bright lights and everything.
Okay. So you're minding your own business. You're driving along. Who was driving in the vehicle? Pardon my questions, but I'm a police officer, so I got a certain order I go through because I have to write a report and stuff.
So. No, I was driving. It was me.
Okay. And so Tim decides he's going to pop on in and tell us what happened.
She got out to go get the supplies, and the car pulled up and they had their music blaring. I asked them to turn it down, and the guy reached down in the seat and picked up a whole wad of bills and shaking them at me, telling me he was a gangbanger. And he got out of his car and walked around. Well, I wasn't gonna let him get me in the Jeep, so when I stepped out of the Jeep, he went back around. So I walked around the other side of the car, and unbeknownst to me, his partner had come out of the store, and he come walking. I never seen him. He was coming up behind me, and he pulled out a pistol, and I never seen him. He walked up behind me and started raising his pistol. We didn't see my 4'11" wife that stuck the 38 to the side of his head and told him to drop it.
I'm 5'2", actually. Thank you.
Well, this just kind of points out the problems I have taken a police report. You have two honest, good citizens who can't agree on the details they both visualize that. First of which is how tall is the woman you're married to? I'm glad we're talking about a potential crime. This isn't one of those dating shows because I don't think you do well, Tim. But okay, let's start with a basic question. What's your favorite color? How tall is we're all at 20%, but that's okay. So back to the situation. So you had exited the vehicle. You were leaving Robin behind in the vehicle, and
Robin,
you pulled up.
Was in
One more time, please.
No, Tim was in the store. I was in the vehicle. Okay. Yeah, he forget. Okay. God love it. He got out of the vehicle.
I'll give the better version. Yeah. I wasn't even there.
Yeah.
So you're in the vehicle. When you pull up, let's back up a step. When you pull up, this car was already there.
Yeah, the car was already there. They pulled in front of us, and they were already parked and getting out of the car. So we pull in, and he and I are talking that we need to get out of the store and nothing. Look, I'm not gonna get out. You get out. When I see you come out, I'll back up, get you, and we'll go, because we had to go home and let our dogs out. So we didn't want to lollygag around. We had things to take care of. So Tim gets out, goes in the store, and after to walk in the store, he asked the guy to turn his music down. That's all he did. And so Tim went to the store, and the other driver of that vehicle was in the store as well. So Tim gets me, he gets out, and the passenger of the other vehicle approaches him and starts. I can't hear what he's saying because the music is way too loud. And him and Tim have words, and that's when he takes and starts slinging money in Tim's face and gets that he's a gangbanger, all this jazz. Well, I've already backed my car up so I can get him. We can leave. Well, I'm watching the driver of the other vehicle walk out of the store. He goes to the driver's side, pulls out a gun, and starts to load it. And slowly starts to walk around the back of that vehicle to go up to Tim. Well, he's not seeing the driver. So I'm watching thinking, this is really real life happening. He's just to pull a gun on my husband. So I carry everywhere I go. And so I get out of my car and I gave him an ultimatum. Because you're not going to kill my person because your friend's ignorant. Or for whatever reason, you guys don't have a conversation.
I respect this mindset. And what's really interesting is you guys know I own a company called the Virtual Tactical Academy, and I have a simulator where I take people through decisions. And you already graduated the school without ever having come through one of the simulators, because it's real simple. This ain't going to happen. There's a line in the sand, and it makes life after that to manage the situation difficult. This is not happening. I will use whatever force to keep this happening because this ain't going that way. And you took control of the situation. Now let's back up a step. I'm still not real clear. Are there two vehicles involved in this little quandary, or is there just one vehicle?
It's us. It's just us and the vehicle.
Just you and another vehicle. Okay. And there was two individuals. One was in the car. One was in the store. When you pulled up, Tim, you talked to the guy in the car and say, and I'm sure you probably said it in a very warm, caring manner, like, "Hey, fine sir, could you please lower that melodious tone emanating from your vehicle?" Or what words did you exactly use? Could you kind of?
I did. The first time I asked him, it was nice. The second time, it wasn't so nice.
Okay. So you went with the de-escalation. Okay. Well, we sent a copy of our book to you on de-escalation, and there was a whole chapter there called Ask, Tell, Make. Apparently you just read that chapter. I asked him, I told him, I was getting ready to reach the car and go make it. So apparently you didn't understand that was option of many options, but we just kind of went for that one. So I'm okay. When you left that individual after something to turn it down, did you think that things had sorted out, or did you think it was going to escalate, or did you think that matter was done and it was past your mindset and I'm just going in the store? Where was your head at that point with that contact with that individual?
I thought it was over. I went and got my stuff. When I walked out, he was still there. And then he wanted to say some things, and it escalated.
Okay. Were you carrying a gun at that time?
No, she was.
Okay. I'm good with that.
I leave mine in my truck most of the time because the way I work, I can't bring a firearm in the facility, so it stays in my truck that I drive around town. And if I go to the store, I carry it. But as far as most of the time, if I'm with her, she's always got hers, and we're together.
Okay, Robin, if I can ask you a personal question, where in the vehicle do you keep your handgun? Is it a purse carry, holster carry, console carry?
If I have just one with me, it's in my purse. I carry one all the time. And if I have, and my purse is always next to me in the car.
I'm sorry, you understand. I have the deepest affection for Texas women, and people always go, why do you have this deep affection for Texas women? When I'm carrying just the couple of guns I normally carry, you remind me of the old joke where the Texas State Trooper pulls this Texas woman over and says, "Ma'am, I need driver's license proof insurance. Before I hand that over, do you have any fires in the car?" She goes, "Yeah, I have a 357 in the door. I have a 9mm in the glove box. There's an AR in the back seat, and my combat shotgun is in the trunk." "Ma'am, what are you afraid of?" "Not a damn thing. Have you heard what's in my door? What's in my console? What's in my trunk?" Basically, so yeah. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but it was just one of those Texas women thing that just affects me so well. So you normally carry it in your purse, but you have another one in your car?
So sometimes he'll leave one of his in the console if we're traveling together. So it'll be in the console as well.
Okay. When you went to get it in the purse, was this something you'd ever practiced drawing it out of the purse? Was this the first time you went, "Oh my gosh, I'm really practicing my draw stroke here"? I'm asking this question as a trainer.
I've only pulled it out of my purse 2 other times, but in the heat of the moment, I really can't remember. It was just like my adrenaline was going because I was worried about something happening to him. So I really can't recall all of that because like I said, gentleman was gone because it was a situation that escalated, super quickly.
When you pulled your gun on that individual, what exactly transpired in that individual's reaction that you noticed?
He thought I was joking.
That was not.
He did. He thought I was kidding. He was, and his whole demeanor changed. They got in the car and they left, like, immediately.
Cool. Did you guys think about calling the police in that community, or is that community so small that you didn't figure it was worth it? Or did y'all have any thoughts about calling up law enforcement? Did you get any ID on the car and say, hey, we had somebody pull a gun on my husband and we want to document this? Did that come across?
The owner of the store walked out, and the lady that was doing the check and worked the register, they both walked out, and he said, you want me to call the law? We all got it on video. And we didn't want to mess with it. We probably should have. That's probably a mistake we made. We should have called the police and turned them in for it, because he had it all on film and it was legit. We should have turned it in. As a regret, I will next time.
Not finding any fault in this deal, but it's amazing how a lot of people always tell me experience is the best teacher. And I always go, experience sucks as a teacher because it gives the test first, the lesson second. The thing I'd like to take away from this experience, though, is if you ever get in a situation again, let's talk about how we would make that call. And if we would make that call, some things to think about it. When you call in, you'd probably call 911 because somebody just attempted, aggravated assault, in the state of the firearm to your husband. And when you call in, remember, when you call into 911, we're making a statement of law enforcement. It's being recorded. We don't have our lawyer present. We're probably pretty jacked up from the experience. This is pretty unnerving for people. And you can't amend or alter that statement. And again, you don't have your lawyer present. So if you do decide to make a call, one of the things I teach in my class, one of the things is in my book, it's all over Consilcos University, is to make sure we have that call in there. And you just want to make sure if you ever do make that call, you're very careful. 911, state your emergency. I need a police officer. There has been an attempted robbery, and I'm at this location. Describe yourself, and then hang up. The next problem, though, is if this thing would have gone ballistic, or if you would have reported it, you were going to need a lawyer. And I don't know if you guys have any kind of prepaid legal defense for self-defense. We're going to work on that and try to get you an FLP membership. One of the things I always do on my keychain is I have my little FLP hotline. So if that situation ever happens to you, you dial this 1-800 number. Actually, it's a 1844 number, 357-4911. And what happens is 24/7, there's a lawyer on the phone. So you can go, hey, I called 911 a few minutes ago. They're on the way. What should I say? And then the lawyer will talk you through what to say if there's a problem. One thing I always try to recommend to people is calling 911 after an incident like this is really helpful for you, though, if you do it properly. And the reason is kind of like when you were kids, the first one who got in trouble and told mom was not really in trouble. So when you call in, if you're the first one to tell the popo that, hey, some idiot put a gun on me, that's cool. But it's not uncommon in our experience for the bad guys to drive off and go, wow, we were at the gas station and this guy said he was going to kill me and we had to pull a gun, and then you get criminal civil liability on down the way. So that's something to think about. The problem is for most people, we go, wow, I didn't do anything wrong. It's all good. Let's roll off. But if it comes back to bite you up later, it looks kind of sketchy that we didn't call. So that's kind of something to think about. Could you help my students who are watching this with me a little bit? What were the emotions that went through you? Like, apparently when you guys were rolling up in there, you're thinking, hey, we got to get this done. I got dogs to take care of. And you probably weren't thinking this is the day where I'm going to have to pull a gun to save my husband's life, or Tim has to go, oh my God, I'm about to lose my family because some idiot thinks that a wad of cash and a loud music is a reason to turn off his birthdays. So what were y'all thinking once this incident started going into higher risk tone? What were the emotions and thoughts going through your heads?
Well, my journal was going crazy because there was a threat to my person. And so I was trying to do whatever I could to make sure that he was going to be okay. And when he look on his face, whenever he saw that I had a gun pulled, his demeanor changed. He was like, oh no, like something's really wrong. Like it was a big aha moment, I guess.
I had no clue. When I heard her start talking, I turned around and looked. She had a gun, he had a gun. I got a little nervous, to be honest. I didn't know what was fixing to happen.
That's a reasonable effect because you're about to be in the middle of a gunfight as an observer. So at least you used to go, I get only half the gunfight. You're going, man, I got no good angle on either one of these things. I had no gun, man. I always tell people, they always go, I ask my class all the time, what's the first rule of a gunfight? First rule of a gunfight is bring the gun. Because if you have a gunfight, you were in a gunfight, Rob and Tim, you were in a shooting. Those are very different life experiences for sure. That's no doubt about that. What's interesting is, Tim, you talk a lot about not hearing this or seeing this. Do you think you had any auditory occlusion that sort of your ears were shutting down, that something that wasn't in your vision wasn't really allowed to be hearing? It's a stress response that we have under pressure.
I was focused in on the guy that was out of the car that I was dealing with, and I never did see the other guy until I heard her holler at him and turned around, and she's holding a gun to that guy, and he's got a gun in his hand.
And you went, this is not a normal evening for us.
No, I mean, we were 2 minutes from the house.
This is the whole reason I wanted to. I have not heard the story. My first or second favorite sister-in-law told me the rough angle on this, because remember, I only got two sister-in-laws. So you're either number one or number two. You're right up there, man. You're in the upper percent. And when she said, I was like going, oh my gosh. And she said the exact same thing. She knows the store. They grew up in the same town. They were just a few minutes from the house. Like somehow, if we're close to the house, the bad guys can't happen. They say most car crashes happen within 5 miles of the home. But if you think about it, most of your trips, there's 5 miles in, 5 miles out. That's where most of your driving is. And, you're going to stop within close to your home for something like this. How has this changed your safety protocols, if any or at all, since it happened? Because I assume this could very easily be a very life-altering or an attitude-changing experience.
Pay a lot more attention to pull in somewhere, you look around and your surroundings. Pay attention who's around you, and I don't go nowhere without one. There's 3 in my truck right now.
Because 4 seemed too much and 2 didn't seem enough, so we arrive at 3.
One stays with me, one's in the door, one's in the console, and I usually have one in the glove box. That way the pastor can help fight if we get into
it. Again, I gotta love Texas women because they raise a Texas man's game. Robin carries 2. I'm going 3 or 4 then because I gotta make sure I can keep my Texas man card in this whole thing.
That's right. That's right.
It's like only once, but not twice.
The question is, what if she didn't have a gun? What would have happened?
This is a good question.
I'm walking up behind me. If she wouldn't have had a gun, I may not be here right now.
100% of the situation. What's really interesting is when I talk to my students over the years, I talk to very few who actually have to use the gun. I talk to a lot of students who pointed and de-escalated at the end of the gun. We talk about that in the de-escalation book about police officers. We shoot very few people, but we negotiate the end of a gun. What's a couple of things we can go over that may help you next time and kind of help you understand this last time is I break criminals down into level 1, level 2, and level 3. Level 1 criminals, basically you just say, get out of my face, I've had enough, and they leave. Any kind of resistance, they're gone. Level 2 takes a little more. You point a gun at them, and you show them you're about to get your birthdays turned off, they leave. And then third level is an apex predator. You shoot them, they're still going to come and try to beat you with the last amount of breath in. It seems like you got somebody who's kind of between 1 and 2 on this kind of deal. And you got real fortunate in that thing. A couple of skill sets that may help you is one of the things I like to talk about is situational awareness. And I think you guys did a good job on it, which is when you came up, you noticed the vehicle, you made a comment to him. So you were aware of what was going around you. And since you were in a community that was store that's close to you and a community you're very familiar with, you knew what the baseline was. You knew that these cats with the radio were not normal, that something here is, not quite right. So when we talk about a baseline, we're looking for anomalies above or below it. The second thing, though, Matt would talk about is de-escalation. I'm not so sure that maybe you were using the right words for the music, and that may have kind of pushed us in there. One of the reasons why we really always want to try to de-escalate or kind of ignore this kind of obnoxious behavior is twofold. Number one, the whole reason the music's on loud is to attract, is a mating strategy to attract other in the species. But the second thing to attract predators that they can prey on. And so that's kind of a piece of bait there that we went for. One of the things about de-escalation also is a TEB profile. TEB. It's in the book I sent you guys. Thoughts, emotions, behaviors. Thoughts. Were these guys clear or contaminated thinking? Do you think they were pretty clear focused, or were they intoxicated, demented, psychotic, or having some sort of mental breakdown of reality? Do you think they were clear or contaminated thinking?
Clear.
Okay. Emotions, high or low?
High.
And then last one is behavior. Were they compliant or non-compliant?
Non-compliant. So they had a third.
Yes. So it's a conditional compliance. Once we get Robin on the end of the gun here, everything went kind of well. But whether I'm doing police work or in my own civilian life, whenever I deal with somebody in public, I try to break it down this, because if they're wildly intoxicated or have a psychotic episode, not able to function, I factor that in. So if they're clear thinking and if they're high emotion and they're non-compliant, we know we have a pretty risky situation. We were dealing with somebody yesterday. She was not very clear thinking, low emotion, and very compliant. And basically she was an Alzheimer's patient. So, you just kind of looking through this and you can kind of judge how to read and respond on everybody. Would this have been a situation where OC, do you think a good dose of pepper spray would have been of any use at all early on, later on? Or do you think this is going to go to gun no matter what happened?
I don't know.
One of the things I really recommend is, though, is carrying a pepper spray, because a lot of times before we go to gun, we can go to spray and shut this down, because a lot of times they're flapping their jaws, they're sort of wolfing on you, and that allows us to use a use of force that's less than lethal force to come on in. Now, if these things would have gone good or bad, or if the police would have showed up, they're going to judge you on 5 things. And let's just kind of break this on down and see if this can kind of help you in the future as well. Because whenever I'm in one of my virtual reality simulations with my students, I always go, can I shoot him? Or can I pull my gun? Or can I point my gun? There's going to be 5 things. And I think, Robin, you're going to get an A on this test, okay? It's called IIRAP, okay? And it stands for innocence. Were you innocent in this situation? Well, I know for sure Robin was innocent in the situation. Now, Tim, they may look at you and they go, did what you say escalate the situation or not? But none of the interaction you had with him was, I'm going to go thump on your head or I'm going to pull a gun on you or anything else. It was just pretty much about the music, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
That was, is the statute of limitations on this one expired or not yet kind of answer. But yeah, we only preserve our innocence. And what happens is a lot of times, and a classic example, this is a road rage. We get in some place and you point a finger, they point a finger, and escalates, and we may lose our innocence. So you were innocent. I rap. Next thing, was it intimate? Was a threat that, Robin, you pulled your gun out? Was it, I got to do this now or something bad's going to happen? 100%. That guy pulled the gun first. You were behind the curve. 100%. Next thing, was it reasonable? When we say was a threat reasonable, there's 2 things reasonable. Was your belief that this was a threat, was that a reasonable thing? Was your response reasonable? And what I think was, you saw deadly force being ready to use against your husband, and you said, this is a hard no, pulled your gun out. You de-escalated the situation, didn't shoot him in the back, didn't chase after him with the car, shooting on him. That was amazing. Was it avoidable? Well, in this situation, you had already backed out, trying to get his car ready to get him out of there. I don't know how you could have avoided it after the initial thing. And the last one, was your response proportional? Yeah, that's why I asked you about the pepper spray. This is a gunfight. Can't really bring a pepper spray to a gunfight. So in whole, I think you guys did really well. I just wish you could try to explain to everybody how disconcerting it is to just be in your own hometown, a few minutes from your house, trying to grab a few things, thinking about getting home to the dogs, or for some people, the kids or family members or whatever, and then having this life-changing event where basically Robin's about 8 pounds away from separating somebody's body from soul and changing their life completely. Can you describe your emotions after this all happened and you're driving away? Because some people have never been through this and understand what a powerful experience this is.
It took me a while to settle down. My nerves were rattled. Seeing your person with somebody ready to enforce bodily harm, potentially kill them, makes your soul kind of shake. So, I was upset. I was nervous. I was scared. Every emotion you can imagine. I was mad with going through me because they were trying to harm my family. So, it was just a very emotional afternoon for sure, or evening.
Tim, what were your feelings driving away from this thing?
Oh, my adrenaline was flowing. I was wound up, nervous, because surprised. I had no idea the guy was coming up behind me with a gun.
You never know when that. You never know when the test on this stuff is going to go. Guys, I cannot thank you enough for stopping by and talking to me with this thing. I know you guys took time out your busy hunting schedule. You guys are out in West Texas freezing and trying to stay dry while having some fun out there. I hope that this lesson taught you some experiences that not only help you prevent this from happening the next time. I really appreciate you helping the Conceal Coalition family understand this. You know, this whole incident could change differently. I could be talking to either one of you without your partner. This could have gone, or I could be talking about on this thing without you guys going, hey, I have a personal tragedy. My two of my closest family members to me got killed going to a store at 8:00 at night in a place they've been to a bazillion times and had an incident with some idiots. And, you know, the real problem with those idiots is if they would have had a lethal encounter and they had shot you, may have been out in 8 or 10 years, you know, and the damage to the family would never be repaired. You know, between the two of you, there's 4 boys. I hate to say boys, but they'll always be our boys. You know, they'd be left without a family. So this is one of those near misses that could happen anywhere. And again, I hate to go back to this, but it's just a crime. They were just going for this, or they were just near the house. You never think that you're going to have a life and death. You know, you think, okay, I'm going to check my rental house at 3 a.m. because I got a call, the alarm's going on. Yeah, you understand that. Or, you know, if you're drunk at 3 a.m, coming home, starting to fight with a neighbor, you understand that. But this is one of those things where you couldn't have been more innocent. I just want to go get it. And the thing I really respect about my Conceal Coalition families, when I hear these kind of stories, it's always the same thing. All they ever want in life is to be left alone. That's all you ever ask, man. Just let me go to the store. Let me get my stuff and get out of here. I don't want to deal with your music. I don't deal with your attitude. I certainly don't deal with your gun. I just want to be left alone. And when those moments happen, thank God you were prepared. But Robin, not only were you prepared with the gun, though, your mindset was in just a wonderful place that changed the whole thing, because there is nothing more de-escalation than someone with a gun in their hand saying, this will not happen. This is going to stop right now, or I'll put a stop to it. And, you know, you saved that person a lot of grief. I doubt they're going to turn their life around, but I hope this never happens again. Guys, is there anything else you'd like to add to tell the Conceal Coalition family about a moment like this that they need to prepare for?
Be aware of your surroundings.
Yeah, pay attention, even if it's close to home.
Robin is a Texas woman who carries multiple guns. Just makes my heart so happy. Is there anything you'd like to tell other women about carrying a gun that may be helpful from your experience?
Learn how to shoot it. Learn how to take it out of your purse and learn how to use it or shoot through the purse, because you never know that flip second can change your life.
These are wise words. Guys, I love you to death. Real quick, any of my audience who you've seen this, if you go to Conceal Coalition University, we have a whole episode on situational awareness. Guys, we're going to get you a membership to our university. We have a de-escalation episode that really helped. Pepper spray might be a good thing to review. But the first episode in the series, the 5 things to do after you have a shooting that we kind of hinted at, please go and review that again. If you are not a member of Conceal Coalition University, or even if you are, grab one of my books. We got 4 of them now. You can get them on Amazon. I kind of feel like I've arrived since I got on Amazon. We travel the country. I'm through traveling for the rest of the year, but next year you can drive out to one of my Versatile Tactical Academies or come to one of the Conceal Coalition License to Carry classes. If you don't have legal defense for self-defense, what keeps me and my family safe is FLP. Guys, I'm going to work with FLP and try to get you a membership. So we get you that 1-800 number. And next time they try to do something stupid like mess with a Texas woman who has 2 guns, or Tim now who's got 4 in the car. Fortunately, we didn't identify your car, because the minute you park it, you're going to be down about 4 guns in your life. So make sure we understand the gun's not a holster. Another topic entirely. But as I always end every one of these talks, and that is, be a guardian always and a warrior when needed. Guys, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.